These are the 10 things you should know before driving the Alaskan ALCAN Highway. So a little history about the Alaskan Highway before we get into the 10 things that you need to know before you head up. And that is, first off, it was built in 1942 and it was done by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in only 8 months' time. And that was during the wartime to connect Alaska to the lower 48. It begins in Dawson's Creek, British Columbia, and it ends in Delta Junction, Alaska. If you're taking specifically just the Alaskan Highway itself, that is a 1,387-mile distance drive or 2,232 kilometers. So it is quite the drive. Usually it takes anywhere from, depends on how much you drive you drive. You could probably do it in, a 24-hour to 2-day thing. I did it in 4 days myself to stop at different spots along the way. But anyway, here's now the 10 different things you need to know before you head up to the Alaskan Highway. Number 1, make sure your car is up to scratch and well stocked. Now, most people that hit the Alaskan Highway do end up taking like a camper van or an RV of some sort, but you can actually do it in a regular car. Just make sure that it is prepped beforehand. And what I mean by that, number 1, make sure you basically got a fresh oil change. I do in my main video that about kind of like my whole experience driving up there. I stopped in Fort St. John's on the way just after Dawson's Creek and got an oil change. You can definitely get an oil change in Dawson's Creek, get it in Calgary if you're coming up that way, or Prince George, wherever. Just make sure that you got it sometime and point when you're in Canada before you hit the route, or in one of the northern states. So that way you've got that about 3,000, 5,000 mile cushion before your next oil change. I would also say make sure that you have obviously a spare tire. If you can, on the back side, you have a Jeep or you have an RV or anything that you can hook onto your back of your car. If you can keep like a extra gas canister strapped to your car, that's probably a good thing. You generally don't need it, but it's always a extra kind of safety because there are enough places to get gas in between for most cars. Max 90 miles to 100 miles where you don't really see a gas station open. So as long as you're fueling up along the way, you should be good. And obviously, depending on if you're camping or even if you're just driving through and staying at motels, I would always make sure that you have some kind of snacks. You never know if you break down, you're going to need food for a few hours or a day or something until someone can help come pick you up or get you to where you next need to go, tow your car, whatever. Make sure that you always have snacks and, of course, particularly water with you on this long drive. Number 2, plan out your stays along the way. Whether you're going to be staying in different campgrounds or if you're staying in the motels along the way in the small towns, or kind of like the stop motels, which you'll see some where it's literally the motel, a restaurant, grocery store, gas station, all combined into one compound, just kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Kind of try and plan that, just because particularly for the motels and hotels, when you get up here during the summertime and you have a lot of people traveling that route, there's only so many rooms that are available. So these places could be sold out. And if you plan ahead, you could probably actually get cheaper prices than if you're trying to get something the night of, that if it is available, they might be skyrocketing the prices, just because they can. But anyway, definitely try and plan out a little bit of your route, where to go, where you're going to stay, and things like that. That way you kind of know where your bases are going to be. So that is a good recommendation. I highly recommend is plan your stops along the way. By the way, speaking of planning your stops along the way, if you are looking to book places along the way in particularly towns like Whitehorse, Dawson's Creek, Fort St. John's, Fort Nelson's, Tok, Alaska, things like that. I highly recommend checking out plannin.com. You can definitely check out the website. I will have a link in the description below for my own referral and recommendation. You can see all of my reviews. You can see other travel content creators' reviews, and it's basically a booking site made for by travel content creators. It is absolutely fantastic. You can sign up for free and sometimes get up to 40% off of your next hotel. So next time you're looking to book, check out plannin.com. Number 3, make sure you have cash available to you. This is not just for when you're stopping out in the middle of, the Yukon territories or Upper British Columbia or even Alaska, wherever you're going. And maybe, the internet's down or something like that at that particular stop, gas station, motel. Always kind of keep some cash on you. One of the biggest ones for me was actually when I got to Dawson's Creek, where it shouldn't have been a problem, but I only had my debit card really with me. I didn't really have a credit card available. And the place I was staying at that night, that day's inn, which is a very nice inn, but their debit wasn't really working, and they needed a $300 deposit. So they said if I did debit, it would take it, but they would have to file a whole thing, and then I would get my money back maybe like in a week, 2 weeks. They couldn't really guarantee me when I would get that refund for that $300 back. So basically they said, if you can, go over to the Walmart next door, grab some cash. So I took out some cash, gave it to them. They gave it back to me in the morning. So it's always good on those kind of like just a road trip in general, but a road trip like this where you're out in places that could, lose connectivity for whatever reason, weather related, anything else, definitely carry some cash on you during your trip along the Alaskan Highway. Number 4, stop at every restroom and gas station available to you. This is more specifically for the gas, because you will have portions of the trail where along the Alaskan Highway, there's maybe 90 to 100 miles before the next gas station. So you definitely want to try and make sure that you're on top of how much gas you have, how much mileage you have left, because you're also going to be in parts where maybe you have to run the AC during the summertime. Weather can change. And then you get up into the top of the mountains and all of a sudden you're driving uphill and you need to turn the heater on. So that's going to run more gas as well. So always be on top of where you are with your mileage, how much gas you need. Obviously, if you can, always have that kind of backup tanker with you. But if you can't, just make sure that you're stopping at as many gas stations as you can, not just for gas, but also to maybe grab a snack, grab something to eat, or use the restroom. Because also, unless you're going out in the woods, which is fine, but unless you're going out in the woods, there are not a whole lot of rest stops along the way. There's some here and there, but take advantage of each and every one of them when you can. Now, before we continue on with this top 10, I wanted to give 2 big shout outs because we have 2 new Patreon members. That's right. We have a Mr. Raphael from Maryland, a brand new green tier Patreon member. Thank you so much, Raphael. I truly, truly appreciate the support. It was nice kind of getting to chat with you over Patreon. And if you have any questions, please don't ever hesitate to ask me. Also, we have a new blue tier member, and that is, of course, my dearest friend, Chelsea, and the Hit family from Virginia. Love you guys. Thank you so much for all the support you've always had for me over the years. Of course, visiting you guys on my way down from Maine. Those are always something I look forward to in the fall time. And I'm going to be kind of sad that I'm going to miss it this fall. Got some big plans. Those are going to be great. But I am going to miss you guys in September and October, like I usually see you guys. So a little bittersweet there, but thank you for the blue tier subscription to Patreon. Give my love to the girls. And definitely, if you guys are looking to help support the travels, I do have the Patreon page linked below, as well as a Buy Me a Coffee account. And I do so very much appreciate all the support from all of my Patreon members and my Buy Me a Coffee account members. Thank you so much, guys. You are the ones that make this channel go. Number 5, make sure that you bring your passport and any other documents that you may need to pass through to Canada. And of course, make sure that they are up to date. If your passport is within that kind of, less than 6 months window of its expiration date, you might want to try and get that done before you come up through to Canada, because they may or may not, usually there's some leeway, but the closer you get to your expiration date, the more nervous they may be to let you in, just because you might have an expired passport while you're in Canada. I would also make sure that obviously your registration and your car insurance is also up to date as well. Just make sure you have any of your new ID cards, things like that, your driver's licenses all set up for you, because you are going to be in Canada for a minimum of a few days from whatever border you're coming through to get all the way to Alaska and vice versa. I know myself, coming into coming into Canada wasn't an issue, but leaving, I am getting my new passport done before I leave, just because, number one, I want to go international in September and October, where it will be under the 6-month expiration date. But also trying to get through Canada back, I'll be kind of on that borderline. So gotta just make sure that you're all up to date on all of your international and all of your car insurance and registration paperwork before you hit this as well. Number 6, again, this seems like common sense, but follow the traffic signs, the speed limits, and any and all, particularly road construction signs and speed limits. They'll come up on you fast sometimes. There's a lot of times where it's mountainous, you're coming around corners, and then all of a sudden it says slow down. When it says slow down, slow the hell down, because that road construction could basically have turned that pavement into gravel, into dirt. You hit that going at, 60, 70 miles an hour, you're going to start losing a little bit of control there. So definitely watch it. And there's other parts of that road, particularly once you get up into the Yukon territories and in parts of Alaska, where it may not have a sign there, but watch where you got some bumps coming up. If it says bumps, those bumps do big dips. And if you're hitting that at 60, 70 miles an hour, you're going to blow your suspension out eventually. There was a couple times where, like, the first time I come up on it, I had slowed down, but not enough. And I was hitting at about 55 and I was like, boom. And I was like, oh my God, is my car okay? So definitely keep your eyes on that road and watch for any construction going on. Watch for any of the signs. They're usually pretty good about that, but there's certain areas where just kind of keep your eyes out, because that road can change in a heartbeat. Number 7, be prepared for all seasons. Obviously, if you're driving up there during the wintertime, it's basically going to be winter the whole way up. But when you're driving in late spring, summer, early fall, kind of like what I have been doing and what I'll be doing on my way back, prepare for all seasons. When I left Dawson's Creek, it was rainy, but like the night before, and I was coming up from Calgary, it was like 80 degrees in Calgary coming up. And then, driving through the plains, a little bit of rain, and then it was sunshine, and then it was like 60 degrees. And then I hit the mountains in like the western part of British Columbia and in the Yukon territories. And once you get up into those mountains, I started driving in the snow. I saw rain, I saw sleet, I saw snow. I went from 80 degrees to 30 degrees. in the matter of a few days. So things change on that road. It's mountainous, it is huge territory, and there is a lot going on when it comes to the weather. So always be prepared. Be prepared to switch from shorts to pants to puffy jackets, back to your tank tops, depending on what part of the road you're in. So definitely always be prepared for all seasons during the summertime when you're driving the Alaskan Highway. Number 8, and this is a fun one, but also it is something that you have to be aware of. Be aware of the animals. There is a lot of territory out there, and it is pretty much all wilderness. So the wildlife reigns supreme in that area. And you definitely, number one, you want to be aware of it just so you can kind of like see it. Obviously you don't want to stop traffic, but if you have like an open road behind you and in front of you, and it's like you slow down a little bit to see that moose or that bear off the side, really cool. If someone's driving with you, the passenger is able to get that camera out quick enough, take the snapshot, do it. Obviously, don't slow down traffic. If there's a pullover, pull over and take a picture, but don't disturb. Please respect the wildlife and be aware of them. Sometimes they can be on the road. They'll cross the road in a heartbeat. And if you're not paying attention, your car against a moose is not going to win. Like in the long haul. I'm just telling you that right now. And also when you stop at certain rest stops, which are right on the side of the road and they have the wilderness behind them, also be aware that you're open to the animals coming down into the rest stop. So just, take your precautions. I would recommend having, if you're coming up to Alaska anyway, you're probably thinking of going hiking or whitewater rafting or things like that. I would always have your bear spray ready just in case. But just the biggest thing is be aware when you're driving of the animals, sheep, particularly if it comes to at night. If you're driving up here in the summertime, you've got mostly the kind of the midnight sun, the Alaskan sun, or the Yukon sun. So it never truly gets fully dark. But once you get into the later part of the season, I know when I'm going back, we're going to be cutting into our stops, making probably 8-hour journeys instead of driving journeys instead of, 12, 13-hour driving journeys, just because it's going to start getting dark and you don't want to be driving on that road and all of a sudden you hit a bear or you hit a moose or you hit a deer or you hit a ram. There's a number of them. So definitely always be aware and respectful of the animals in that area. Number 9. Now, adding on to with the animals, they are a sight to see. Just be respectful. But I also recommend stop and enjoy the sights along the way. There are so many beautiful places to stop and pull over and get some great pictures, great video along the Alaskan Highway. Some of them I couldn't even really stop because there was no place to stop. You're driving through tight canyons in the mountains and stuff. But enjoy the sights of northern British Columbia, of the Yukon territories, and of any part wherever you're going into Alaska. It is absolutely breathtaking, from the plains to the mountains to the lakes that you pass, the national parks and state parks, provincial parks that you pass through. If you're camping, obviously you're getting a little bit more into the wilderness there. There is so much to see along the way from Dawson's Creek all the way up through to wherever you go in Alaska. Just take it all in, because it is absolutely gorgeous and it can be a road trip of a lifetime if you make it. So it was one of my favorite road trips, particularly being a solo road trip. And some of the stuff I saw, I'm like, wow, that was amazing. Number 10, bring a signpost for the signpost forest in Watson Lake. So if you're taking the Alaskan Highway, you are eventually going to run into Watson Lake. And they have this signpost forest that started up in 1947. And it is really, really cool. I wish I had known about it. Did not know about it until I was coming up on the Alaskan Highway. I think it was like the night before. I was looking to see where I was going to stop for gas and food. And then I saw, signpost forest, Google Maps. Looked at it, I was like, oh, that's cool. I wish I had a sign. And they do have a place there where you can actually make your own sign. I was actually there and no one was at the little booth where they did it. If they did it there, they might do it some other place. I'm not entirely sure. I was kind of in a rush, but I took about like 20 minutes to kind of walk around before I went to grab something to eat. But definitely make it a note to stop for a good portion of time at the signpost forest in Watson Lake, because that was super cool. And I wish I had brought a sign. I might find a sign or make my own sign here in Alaska before I head back down to the lower 48 in September. So, but anyway, that is the 10 things that you need to know before you hit the Alaskan Highway. guys, so that is the top 10 things to know before you hit the Alaskan Highway. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any other further questions, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. I will answer those to the best of my ability. And of course, if you liked the video, please hit that like button, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Definitely helps me out. And of course, if you'd like to share this with anyone, you know anyone that wants to come up to Alaska, taking a road trip up to Alaska, camper van, whatever they're doing, definitely share this with them. I do so very much appreciate all that. Well, guys, until we meet again here to start the Alaskan videos, peace out. Have a great night.